All right, diving in today, folks, we're taking on Aristotle.
Big one, huh?
Yeah, his Nicomachean ethics. Getting into the good stuff, though, the heart of it. We're focusing on books 1, 2, and 3.
So really laying the foundation.
Exactly, what's good life all about? What's this eudaimonia, this happiness Aristotle's going on about? We're going right to the source, using excerpts from his actual writings to try and unpack it all. The mission here is, well, how can we get the most important stuff, make it clear, without, getting bogged down?
I think that's what everyone wants with Aristotle, right? Powerful ideas, but dense.
Dense is putting it mildly. So Aristotle kicks things off, and right away, he's like, look, every single thing we do, everything we try to figure out, it's aimed at some good.
Okay. Makes sense so far.
Right, like there's a goal. But then he says, the good itself, that's what everything is ultimately aiming for.
So it's not just about any random good. It's like there's a hierarchy.
You got it. Sometimes the good is in the doing, the activity, like you're jamming on your guitar, that's the good right there. Other times, it's more about what you make, the product. Like you build a house, that's the good. And usually that's seen as even better,
Like it's more lasting, maybe?
Yeah, and this is where he gets into those master arts, like military strategy, for example. The goal of that's way more important than, say, making saddles, right? Even though you need saddles for the horses.
Right. It's the bigger picture, what it all serves.
Bingo. So then he says, all right, if there's something, some end, some goal that we want just for itself, not as a stepping stone to something else, that's got to be the good, like the ultimate good, the chief good.
Otherwise, we'd just be chasing things forever.
Exactly. Our desires would be all over the place, no end in sight. Pointless, basically.
So what is this chief good?
That's where happiness comes in, eudaimonia. Aristotle's big argument is this. If we understand what true happiness is, it'll totally change how we live our lives. He uses this analogy of an archer needing a target.
Makes sense. You can't hit anything if you don't know where you're aiming.
Now, he brings in this idea of politics as a master art, which is interesting. But he doesn't mean politics like we think of it today. He's talking about how a whole community organizes itself for the good of everyone. So it's more about a well-ordered society.
So for Aristotle, even individual happiness is kind of tied into how the community is doing.
In a way, yeah. He even says the good of the state, of the community, it's greater, more complete than just one person's good. Okay, so happiness, everyone agrees it's the highest good, right? But what is it, really?
Right, that's the question.
Some folks say it's pleasure, others wealth or honor. But Aristotle, he's after something deeper, something self-sufficient, the kind of thing you choose just for itself, not to get something else out of it. I'm curious, when you think of happiness, what comes to mind?
Honestly. Yeah, those things do pop up. Comfort, maybe achieving something.
So you're right there with those folks Aristotle was talking about. But he pushes further. This is where his function argument comes in. He's like, look, a shoemaker, they make shoes, that's their function. A doctor heals people. Everything is a function, right? So what's ours as humans?
We're not just objects, we do things.
Exactly. He says our function is to live a certain way, a life of rational activity, using our reason, letting it guide us. And get this, the good for a human, it's doing that well, doing that excellently, living virtuously.
So it's not just about being smart, it's about being good.
You got it. And now we're getting into virtue, which Aristotle says isn't something you're born with, it's habit. You become just by doing just actions, brave by doing brave actions, and so on.
Makes you think about your own habits, doesn't it? What you're doing day after day.
Totally. And he stresses that you can wreck those virtues by going too far, too much, or not enough. It's about finding that middle ground, the balance.
Kind of like a tightrope walk, almost.
Right. So, okay, what exactly is moral virtue? It's this state of character being a certain way, and it's all about choice. Finding that middle ground, that sweet spot, relative to you, and it's guided by reason, by practical wisdom.
So not just blindly following rules.
Nope. Got to think it through.
Ugh.
But there are some things, he says, where there's no middle ground. Like being cruel, there's no virtuous version of that.
Right, some things are just plain wrong.
Exactly. And he gives examples for the good stuff too. Courage. It's that balance between being a total scaredy cat and being reckless. Temperance. That's about finding the middle ground with pleasure, not overdoing it. Generosity. That's between being wasteful and stingy.
So it's like a spectrum, and virtue is finding that right point on it.
That's the idea. Now, last thing, voluntary actions and choices. For Aristotle, voluntary actions, they come from us. We're aware of them. Even things we do out of anger or desire, those count.
Because we're still choosing to act that way.
Right. But choice, that's different. It's more
Mm.
deliberate. It's this desire for things we can control, and it comes after thinking things through. Not just about what we're going to do, but how we're going to do it.
So it's about taking responsibility.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what Aristotle is getting at. We shape who we are through the choices we make. Pretty heavy stuff. Okay, to sum it all up, happiness, eudaimonia, that's the ultimate goal, and we get there by living virtuously throughout our whole lives. Virtue, that's that balanced character we build by what we do, the choices we make.
And that brings us to a question for everyone listening. Thinking about what Aristotle said about reason and virtue and all that, how does that fit with what you think a good life is all about
Hmm.
today, in the world we live in? What's your function? And are you doing it the best way you can? Something to chew on.